what if the glitz and glamour of the music industry was just a curtain, hiding something far more sinister? What if training didn't mean vocal lessons or stage prep, but secret rituals meant to break, manipulate, and control? And what if the very people we idolize as mentors were actually gatekeepers holding the keys to a darker game? Milan Harris, the powerhouse behind Milano Di Rouge, stayed silent for years, while whispers swirled and patterns unfolded right before her eyes. But now, she's starting to speak. And what she's revealing isn't just personal, it's systemic. Why did she stay quiet for so long? What finally pushed her to break her silence? And how deep does the rabbit hole really go? Stick around till the end, because once you see the patterns she uncovered, you won't look at the industry, or its stars, the same way again. Milan Harris, the woman who mastered the ancient art of shutting up while the world tried to write her into someone else's Wikipedia footnote. She didn't bat an eyelash when the blogs went full soap opera, reducing her to the tragic supporting character in Meek Mill's life story. Side chick, pregnant drama, public breakup, the whole mess. She let the headlines scream while she calmly minded her fashion empire, politely declining the low-budget clout circus the industry practically sends engraved invitations to. But let's not get it twisted. This wasn't just a woman choosing Zen over a Notes app rant. According to people with actual backstage passes to this show, Milan's silence was less about peace and more about carrying a load the average IG commenter couldn't lift with both hands and a prayer. Because while she was playing the supportive partner in public, privately she was allegedly getting a crash course in fame's dark arts, beyond heartbreak, into something that belongs in the "you had to be there" files. Word is, when Meek started morphing from rapper to political poster child, Milan began hearing things. Strange little buzzwords dropped like breadcrumbs. And one that stuck like gum on a red carpet? Training sessions. Sounds innocent, right? Like media coaching or breathing exercises before a mic check. But apparently, training wasn't about polishing talent, it was about control. Allegedly, we're talking about the kind of training that tests loyalty, breaks wills, and ensures artists don't shine too brightly unless they're on a leash. And Milan, she wasn't some wide-eyed hopeful auditioning for fame's approval. She had her own thing, her own name, and she didn't need the industry's twisted mentorship program to feel validated. So, while everyone else was busy speculating about baby daddies and breakups, Milan might have been watching the whole system from the inside, taking notes while playing chess with people who didn't even realize she was in the game. Let's get one thing straight. Milan Harris was already Milan before Meek Mill's name ever grazed hers. She wasn't some +1 with a dream and a Fashion Nova discount code. No, she was the mind behind Milano Di Rouge, a brand that had celebrities rocking her designs while others were still chasing reposts. Her success wasn't borrowed, she built it. So when she entered Meek's orbit, she wasn't starstruck. She was stepping into unfamiliar territory, not beneath her, just laced with a different kind of poison. And at first, it all looked like background noise. A sly comment at an after-party, a look too heavy for the moment. A girl in the green room, trembling and tight-lipped, clearly shaken but trained not to speak. A stylist, no drama, no theatrics, just calmly advising her to never be left alone in certain places. You know, casual stuff that totally screams normal workplace. Then came the conversations she wasn't even supposed to be sharp enough to catch, where industry titans, all charm and watches, casually tossed around phrases about testing artists. And spoiler alert, they weren't talking about mic skills. Milan, not one to jump to conclusions, started piecing it together the way only someone intelligent and deeply uncomfortable does. Quietly, but with growing clarity. This wasn't hearsay, it was choreography, a script, a playbook passed down and carried out behind closed doors. These so-called training sessions, they weren't exactly front-page scandals, but they also weren't that well hidden. More like those dirty little secrets everyone's in on but nobody's allowed to name. And what Milan allegedly uncovered wasn't a myth or some tinfoil hat conspiracy, it was a strategy. Not about nurturing talent, but hoarding power. These sessions weren't designed to elevate, they were built to own. Artistry? Please. This wasn't about making stars. It was about making sure they knew who made them. Industry's favorite party trick. Put someone in a compromising position, hit record, and voila. You've got leverage masquerading as mentorship. According to those who've peeked behind the velvet rope, this wasn't the work of faceless minions in headsets. No, the puppet masters allegedly wore Rolexes and took bows on award show stages. We're talking label execs, hit-making producers, and even a few of those beloved OGs the public treats like sages. In front of the cameras, they preached empowerment and artistic freedom. Behind them, they allegedly ran initiation rituals with the subtlety of a Bond villain and the morality of a loan shark. Now, to be clear, Milan never accused Meek of playing ringleader. That's important. She never claimed he was the one dragging women into those rooms. But according to people close to her, there was something worse than action. Awareness. A lingering feeling that he knew. That he had seen behind the same curtain she was now peeking through and chose not to rip it down. Why the silence? Fear? Survival mode? Protecting the ecosystem that fed him? She couldn't say. All she knew was that silence to her wasn't neutral. It was complicity with better PR. And while the world buzzed about her as Meek's baby mama, ex-girlfriend, or tabloid footnote, Milan was living a whole other reality. Pregnant, disillusioned, and holding on to truths she couldn't explain without sounding like she'd lost her mind. So she did what survivors do in a machine built on secrets. She went quiet, focused on her business, stayed out of the chaos. Let them call her whatever they wanted, because sometimes surviving the story is louder than telling it. To the outside world, Milan Harris was just keeping it cute and quiet. But behind that polished calm was a mother waging a silent war before her son even took his first breath. This wasn't about drama, it was about survival. And survival, in her case, meant biting her tongue so hard it bled. Because in an industry where speaking up can end you before you begin, silence felt like the safest armor. But even armor rusts. And silence? It has a shelf life. Over the years, while the industry clutched its pearls through Me Too headlines and damage control documentaries, Milan watched something deeply unsettling unfold. The same whispered warnings she once chalked up to paranoia were now being broadcast by other women. Different names, different platforms, same script. What she once questioned in the quiet corners of her mind now looked eerily like policy. And the shift didn't come because she needed to exorcise her past. It came when she saw the next generation walking straight into the same lion's den, starry-eyed and clueless. Young women, wide smiles, perfectly filtered Instagram shots from the very same studios and after parties she once side-eyed, saying the same strange phrases she once didn't understand. Only now, she knew exactly what they meant. Motherhood rewired her silence. This wasn't just about protecting her past anymore. It was about protecting someone else's future. Because the thought of her own child, or someone else's daughter, being led into those same rooms, under those same lights, with those same unspoken rules, that was her line in the sand. So yes, Milan's speaking now, not because she wants attention, but because she knows what it costs to stay quiet. And because once you've survived the machine, you start realizing breaking the cycle starts with saying the damn thing out loud.